Football is a violent and physical sport. Everyone who signs up to play it understands that. The big collisions and bone-crushing hits are a couple of the main reasons the sport is so popular. But every now and then we are reminded how dangerous this game can actually be. And last night, watching Tua's head slam into the ground and seeing the fencing response, which signals there's something wrong neurologically, was a stark reminder. Now, before I go any further, I want to say we're all hoping Tua's fine and will be able to come back soon. But I have some questions. One, after watching Tua get hit last week against the Bills, stand up, stumble, and look confused like he didn't know where he was at, how was he able to come back not only in that game, but be ready 5 days later? I'm not a doctor, nor did I stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I've seen enough football to know that he did not look right. Now, I know the concussion area is one the NFL takes very seriously, but anyone who watched that clip of Tua getting hit by the Bills is probably questioning the same thing I am. Second, we all face the point in our careers where we ask, do we need to hang it up or is this enough? We all love the game so much, but there is a final chapter to every athletic story. And if you read Tua's injury history mixed with the last 2 weeks, it has to be something Tua's at least considering. He hasn't just gotten hurt, he's endured some devastating injuries. It's basically a remix to the song Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes, but add hips and ankles and other things. The long-term health of a person who plays such a violent game has come under a microscope, and we learn more every day. Tua is smart enough to know that, and is it worth risking your ability to remember things, people, or the moments you had on the gridiron? Is it worth being able to throw the ball around with your kids and pick them up, or just be there in general? The answer is always yes. I won't pretend to know what Tua is thinking. I do know there is an NFLPA investigation ongoing about him playing in this game, and we do need answers. If mistakes were made, then there needs to be accountability. But it may be time for Tua, a national champion, an NFL starter, and an all-around great human being, to start thinking about the next chapter of his life. I love this game as much as I ever have, and I'll be there watching every snap tonight with bated breath. But there are things in life that are more important than a game, and sometimes we get reminded of that. I don't know what Tua will decide. I'm not sure what will come from the investigation into whether or not he should have been playing, but I do know this. We're definitely praying for you, Tua, and I know you'll make the best choice for you and your family. The instant reaction when you watch Tua last night is you cringe at that. You see him get slammed and you see the head hit back. And we actually talked about on the show yesterday the fencing position, or seeing those arms go up like this. It's a neurological response to damage. You heard the doctor say that. Let's play this clip from last night. You can see Tua back get slammed, then head get slammed. Let's go ahead and play the clip.
Nobody's open, Joe. He's going to be sacked back in his own territory at the 40.
You can see the violence of the slam. Now watch his arms here. Well, they come up to his chest. You had to cart him off the field. I'll say this. That's not a dirty hit to me.
That's what I was about to get.
You sacked the quarterback. That's
what I was
your job, too. It's not like you picked him up.
No.
You didn't pick him up and look at the crowd and they give you a thumbs up or thumb down and you broke him over your knee like it's Mortal Kombat.
It's a football play.
It's a football play. But, Cone, you played the position. You've watched a ton of football like I have. When you watched him get up after that hit from the Bills, something's not right. That's not a back injury to me.
Yeah.
It's not an ankle injury to me. Those are, you get up and you're already hobbling. He walked 5 yards, basically fell down, got up, and you could see him. It looked like he didn't know where he was. Now, I've hurt my ankle as bad as anything, but I've never hurt my ankle and been like, where am I? That's not how that works. Let's run this clip against the Bills, too, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Go ahead and roll through it.
And Tagovailoa suffered some type of an injury.
Watch him here.
On this
Gonna get pushed,
play.
back hits, head hits. Look at the arms kind of go up a little bit. Now, look at this. Look at him shaking his head like that. Now he collapses. That's not an ankle injury, man. Like, you can say, I don't care if you're a Dolphins fan or not. Look at, where's the trainer going to look at? He's not looking at his foot. He's looking him in the eyes to see how cognizant he is of what's going on. And here's the thing, Cone. I'm not even blaming the Dolphins.
No, because the NFL has taken over.
The NFL said, we'll take care of it. We'll bring in all our scientists and get the doctors from Jurassic Park to come in here and figure it out. Well, I'm just wondering, and I know they have to cover their own butt. and they're going to take every precaution with what we've seen with CTE and some of the events that have gone on. You look at Junior Seau and other guys like that. But how did that guy pass protocol?
Yeah, so I wrote down 3 things here after seeing this, many of which you touched on. One, the hit from last night was not completely abnormal. You see a sack like that almost once a game. That's how you know that there was something previously affecting that. And when you see him hobbling 4 days ago, I think that plays into that. And you look, it's 4 days rest, a Thursday night primetime game. I know the NFL wants their stars to play, especially when it's a primetime game, but I think someone will be held accountable for this. As far as like the fencing position of the hands when he was down, I haven't really seen that in football. You see it in fighting, boxing, UFC.
Who was the running back from Cal that could absolutely fly? He played
Javad Best.
Javad Best. Go watch when Javad Best takes off one time.
The arms lock out.
Yeah, like the arms go out like this.
That is, but the fingers, I had.
Yeah, no, the fingers. That was
fingers
different.
was different from.
That's when I started to really get. Because that you know, the arms up, like Javad Best, that's exactly what it was. Who he went, go to YouTube and look up Javad Best flying over the goal line, hitting his, and those arms, they come straight like this. We used to call them arms to, you know, hands to the sky, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's when I worry about his long-term health, when I see stuff like that. So one, I think someone will be held accountable, but my second point was, 2, it's not that long ago that we wouldn't have even been discussing the league or the medical staff today, right? And you don't have to go back as far as when your father played or when my father-in-law played. Just go back to when we played. This hit happened, we would have just been coming in the next day talking about Tua, and he's injury prone, and I don't think that, you know, he's long for the NFL. So I think the NFL has done better in terms of concussion protocol, because we're coming in now saying, you know what, they should have stepped in. They have stepped in over in the years past, and they let this one slide, and it's unacceptable, and someone will be held accountable. So I think that there has been developments there. And then the third point I had, which you touched on, you know, I do think, unfortunately, Tua's best football days are behind him. I think that, and I hate it, and I hope that I'm wrong, because I've spent some time around the kid. I think that he's, you know, one of the greatest college quarterbacks I've ever seen, the best slant ball thrower I've ever seen. But we asked all offseason, you know, what could the Dolphins be and what could Tua do with all these weapons if, and it was always if he can stay healthy. And so this isn't an anomaly. It's not like he got hit yesterday, you know, had the fencing mechanism, neurological effects, and had no previous history of injury. He has something all the time, like what Jake talked about. So I'm not saying he won't come back from this. I'm hoping that he will. I'm not even saying he won't have another 400-yard passing game. I just don't know if he'll play a complete season in the NFL. So I think Tua's best football days may be behind him. But as a person, I know his best days as a person are still ahead of him.
Yeah, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have a long and healthy life. I mean, look, my dad played 4 years in the NFL, and he could barely get out of bed some mornings. So, and I know it was a little bit different back then, but, you know, he also didn't play with a mouthpiece most of the time. So, but again, it is what it is. I want to quote Chris Nowinski, who's a neuroscientist. He's the CEO for Concussion LF. This guy knows what he's talking about. Before the game, if Tua takes the field tonight, it's a massive step back for #concussion care in the NFL. If he has a second concussion that destroys his season or career, everyone involved will be sued and should lose their jobs, coaches included. We all saw it. Even they must know this isn't right. Now, look, do I agree that everybody, you know, should be fired, whatever, you know, anything like that? I don't know. I need to see what goes on in the investigation. But it just leads me to believe, when, you know, they say don't trust your lying eyes. I'm saying, one, a back issue. I've seen back issues, seen ankle issues, seen magazine issues. That was a head injury. That was a guy stumbling around that really probably didn't know where he was at. And there's stories of that go on and go on and go on. It just, it looked about as bad as I've seen it last night.
Yeah, I don't need to be a doctor to know that Tua got a concussion against the Bills.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. You can barely be a football fan and know Tua got a concussion against
They got the same doctor.
There is no way this man should have been on the field in this game. It is. How did he get through concussion protocol? How? Like, I don't, like, even if he somewhat did good, when a UFC fighter gets knocked out, he's done for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And that's getting knocked out with a fist. Someone's going to get sued for this. I don't know who. I'm not a lawyer, but someone will get sued for this. He should have never been on the field in the first place. He baby horsed it. Like, there's certain level of concussions. I've had a concussion before, got up and played the rest of the game. Like, as a football player, the thing that scares you the most is not being able to play again.
That's
what scares you the most. That's why when certain things happen to you, you lie and you don't tell anybody. But it gets to a certain point where when you're on national television, you're on the NFL, and everyone can see it. There's no hiding this, right? What scares me is he got away with this blatantly and played on a short week the next week. How did no one step in?
Yeah.
How did this man, with all the technology we have, with all the science, all the scientists, all the neurologists, whatever they're called, how did this man get on the field for the next week? Even if he said, I'm not concussed, guys, I'm not concussed, coach, trainer, I'm not concussed. Like, sooner or later, someone has to step in and get him out of the way of himself.
Yeah, you can't put it on the player because think about it. These guys have been working their whole lives to get to this moment, and you're the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. Not only that, you're undefeated. You're looking around saying, all right, I've had a career where I've had injuries. It looks like I'm actually somewhat at a place that's stable. It's working well with my head coach, Mike McDaniel. We've got weapons, Waddle, Tua, those guys outside. These are the ultimate competitors. You cannot let the player make the decision, or you cannot be influenced by the player. I try to give most people the benefit of the doubt. And I try not to look at everything from a nefarious lens or look at everything from a conspiratorial lens. But when I look at that, I'm just really trying to find a way in which you could look at Tua and be like, you know what, he's fine. In today's world.
He didn't get away with
20 years ago?
He didn't get away with that in high school.
Yeah, it would have got up, nobody would have said a word.
You definitely can't put it on the player. You can't even put it on the head coach.
No,
right?
he's not a
They're
doctor.
involved in the game plan. You have to put it on the medical staff. And now, even in the NFL, they're not even putting it on the team's medical staff. That's why I was so quick not to criticize Miami's medical staff, because the NFL is saying, you know what, we're going to take over.
Yeah.
We're going to decide concussion protocol. So not only is it not on the player, it's certainly not on the head coach. They're involved in the game plan. It's really the team's medical staffs are almost not even involved at this point.
Well, I'm starting to really wonder how much we can trust medical staffs in sports. These are the same people that said, you have to get this injection, you have to do this to be able to play. I'm really wondering, are we starting to lose, because everything's getting so politicized, do we need to start losing faith in the medical people associated with professional sports?
That's a good question. I wonder if it just let's say, for instance, I'm not sure how it works. Maybe we should get someone on for an interview, but if the Miami Dolphins medical staff, for instance, like the chief medical officer there says, you know what, this Tua can't play in this situation. He's concussed, can't be ready for Thursday Night Football. But the NFL representative says, no, I'm not seeing that in my concussion protocol. If there's a discrepancy, if it always errs on the side of caution, or if it just takes one.
Well, it should always err on the side of caution.
Right, I guess. And then, I was listening to Colin Cowherd say that anytime a player gets up and wobbles at all in an NFL game, that they should sit out the next week, almost like a wobble rule. And, I'm hesitant, because I think, like, at the end of the day, it is still football, right? Everybody's hurt. Right, like you're more banged up now. This is the healthiest you'll be for the rest of the season, every single player. And so I'm wondering, like that hit we saw Tua take where he started wobbling was clearly something's wrong neurologically with you. Yeah. How far do we want to go in terms of saying, you know what, you're not 100%, so you can't play? There'd be no players left. to play.
I think anytime you're dealing with a head injury, and I think you'll agree with me, it's a little bit different. I think you have to take it on a case-by-case basis. I don't think you can generalize it. I don't think you can say, well, if he makes one move like this, we automatically got to take him out or leave him in. I think that's too generic. I don't think that solves the problem. I think you got to take it by case-by-case, circumstantial basis, because every player's injury history is different. Every player's susceptibility to certain things, or things that they've had in their past, or things that have been bothering them, are a little bit different most of the time. So a blanket rule to me, I think is overreach, is kind of going too far. But I do want to see, what was the communication mechanism on this? Who did talk to who? Ultimately, if the final decision is made with the NFL, then the accountability needs to be with the NFL. But asking the NFL to have accountability for anything is like asking a giraffe to be short.
Well, they scream player safety this, player safety that, player safety matters the most. Didn't in this occasion.
Well, let me ask you this, Blaine. You have two primetime games. Last two primetime games have been duds. 11-10, you've had ugly games. Do you think at all there was any inkling saying, hey, Tua, Waddle, Jalen,
that was my
explosive offense, Joe Burrow, the Dolphins are beat up on defense. We need to have a high-scoring, thrilling game.
That's what I was
asking. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to be conspiratorial, but there are some dots that kind of line up if you look.
I mean, had it been a Sunday game, even with more time to rest, 3 more days to rest, they may have not allowed him to play.
That's my thing. Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed that content. If you did, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We bring it every day, weekdays from 7:30 to 9 Eastern, Saturday specials, Sunday recaps, and NFL previews. And while you're at it, go ahead and turn that notification bell on so you know every time that we're going live. If you like sports without the politics, you'll love Crane & Company.